talking about a home. Talking about me and you. Things we'll do. I said a home. Not talking about a one-night stand. I wanna be your man. I said a home.
From the people who bring you Charleston Home and Design Magazine, the Charleston Home and Design Show, the Custom Home and Remodel Show, and Charleston's online home show, newhomecharleston.com, this is Talking About a Home. Talking About a Home is a home show on the radio, featuring interviews with local experts, home tips, trends, and ideas you need to know to make your home better. I'm Michael Blaze with 5 Star Real Estate, and this is Talking About a Home.
Good afternoon. I'm Tim Barkley with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and I want to thank you for listening to Talking About a home show on the radio. In addition to our radio show Talking About a Home, we also publish Charleston Home and Design Magazine, winner of the American Institute of Architects Charleston Chapter's Honor Award for Journalism, and also the American Society of Interior Designers Excellence in Design Media Award. You may also be familiar with the 3 custom home shows we organize: the Charleston Home and Design Show, which takes place every January, Charleston's Open Air Home Show, which takes place every April at Family Circle Stadium on Daniel Island, and the Custom Home and Remodel Show and Hurricane Expo, which took place about a month ago, every August at our temporary location, the Citadel's Johnson Haygood Stadium. Well, today we've got a great show lined up for you. Today you're going to be listening to interviews that are associated with the brand new fall issue of Charleston Home and Design Magazine, which is now available for pickup. And what I mean by that is there are several stories within Charleston Home and Design Magazine that have videos related to them, and at the end of every story, at the end of some of those stories, you can take out your smartphone and scan the QR code that's on the page and watch a behind-the-scenes video that's associated with that particular story. And you could also watch these videos at our website, which is charlestonhomeanddesign.com, charlestonhomeanddesign.com. And so today you're going to be listening to the audio of some of those videos. And so if it piques your interest and you want to see more, pick up the brand new issue of Charleston Home and Design Magazine at most home-related higher-end stores throughout Charleston. In Mount Pleasant, you could visit GDC Home on Coleman Boulevard, also GDC Home in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard. Those are 2 good landmarks. In North Charleston, you could stop by Melser Tile, for example. On Johns Island, you could stop by the Fieldstone Center. So just about every high-end home-related business, retail business in the Charleston area, you can pick up an issue of Charleston Home and Design Magazine or subscribe to it by going to our website, which is charlestonhomeanddesign.com. But today we're going to be hearing the audio from interviews at a brand new home that was built by Priester's Custom Contracting. Also a very interesting tile project. We'll be talking to the folks at Melser Tile. Also, we'll be talking about a project that was done by Energy One America. Also, Port City Glass and Mirror, a beautiful heavy glass shower enclosure. And finally, some brand new window treatments that were installed by Advanced Window Fashions and the story behind that. Well, we hope you have a great weekend and enjoy today's show.
Hi, I'm Christy Conway with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and I'm here in this amazing James Island home with Tommy Priester of Priester's Custom Contracting, and I'm also with Tara Beldner, and she's the homeowner. So tell me, guys, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
Great. Thank you. And those are her wonderful children. What's his name?
This is Harrison.
Okay.
And Dawson running around in the background.
Okay. So what kind of project was this? How did Tara approach you about doing this remodel?
Well, Tara, they contacted me, I think over the phone. And actually, I think she sent me some emails, and then we talked over the phone, and we came out and we discussed it. They were wanting to do an addition to the house. They had a huge screen porch area that they wanted to convert into living space so that they could capture the view of the river that they have here and the marsh and all, and the view out the back is amazing here, and they wanted to capture that, being that the kitchen is one of the areas in the house that you spend so much time. And they have the little ones, and they like to entertain, and they wanted to capture the view that they have there, and they had contacted, I think, several other people that hadn't followed through, and they were unable to get some drawings together that they needed to get done to do the conceptual part of the remodel. And so when we came in, we hooked them up with a designer that designed the space, and that process went very rapidly, and then they decided that they wanted to indeed move forward, and we came in, and I think the only apprehension that there was, which she had a deadline, she wanted to be in before Christmas.
Okay.
And I know that was a stipulation, and she said, Tommy, we have to be in the house before Christmas. And she says, if you can't promise that, we can't do the project. And she'll tell you that I said, well, maybe we should wait till January.
Yes. That's one thing I loved about Tommy, is that he always overestimated, always gave the worst case scenario with every little aspect of the project, and which led us always to be pleasantly surprised, because he always came in ahead of his initial deadline, and it wasn't as complicated as he thought it was going to be. So as you know, as homeowners and first-time project people, we've never done anything like this before. That very nice and a great comfort.
What's the saying? Prepare for the worst,
Exactly.
or something like that. Okay, so is that generally how you approach a project? You kind of foresee any potential problems and then go from there?
Yeah, and I explained that to her too. I told her that when she hired us, that we would always tell her worst case scenario, her and Matthew, which is her husband, and that I think that when you're open about a project and go in, making sure that people know that all the pitfalls and things that can occur, and they're aware of that going into it, then you end up on a whole different playing field, meaning that she was prepared, they were prepared for the worst case scenario, and again, like I told you, she wanted, her initial thing was she wanted to be in before Christmas, and I told her I didn't think that was going to happen. And then as things started moving along and they started seeing things move along, her and her husband both said, I think that we're going to make it. And I said, well, we'll let you know about 2 weeks prior. And I think that we waited to the last minute before I told her, you know what, I think we're going to be completely done. But that's because there's so many things that occur during a process that when you come into a project and you haven't opened the walls up and you don't know what has to be moved and what has to be altered and what kind of structural issues you're going to run into until you have it down to the shell level, and then how they made the decisions on the windows and the colors and the trim and the cabinets and the countertops and the tile. All of that makes a huge deal in the process of how things flow, and they did an awesome job on making those selections. I think it again has a lot to do with the team that you have put together, so that they were able to help them make those decisions in a timely manner, and then she was able to flow right through that process.
Well, obviously you have a large family, and I'd imagine that had a lot to do with why you wanted to expand the home. You've got, 3 growing boys, right? Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about the process? He touched on a little bit, how you called a few people and nobody would get back to you. And I mean, that's a huge deal in this industry, is just call people back, You'll probably get a lot more business that way. Can you talk a little bit about that process that you had?
Yes, right. Well, when we decided we were going to move forward with the project, I just basically opened the Charleston Home and Design magazine and went through and looked through the pages and the different contractors that were advertised, did some research on their reviews online and that kind of thing, and then just started making some phone calls. And I think I called a total of 5 contractors, and Tommy was the only one that answered his phone immediately and always called me back. I didn't have to go through a middle person, a secretary in an office, and then they call me back 3 days later. So I knew this was going to be a very big project for us. We wanted it to be done well, and we wanted to have, direct contact with the contractor as much as possible. Because I'd heard these horror stories about the contractor was never there. And one thing we loved about Tommy is that he was here every single day on the project, first thing in the morning, here. And that was fantastic for us, because we knew that even if he would call Matthew, even if Matthew wasn't here first thing in the morning, he would call him during the day and touch base with him as well. So those are just little things that make a huge difference when you're, making such a big project. So,
You don't want to have to be worried about your project when you're trying to raise a family and juggle all these things. So, yeah. Now, you're actually a family man yourself, so you're probably used to working around the needs of, a growing family, I'd imagine.
Yes, we've got 3 children. Ours are a little more spaced out in age, but we do have 3 children, and I think it boils down to just what Tara said, is communication. The homeowner wants to know, regardless of what issues are, whether it's something that didn't go the way you planned it to go, or whether there needs to be alterations to the plan. They want to know that up front. And as long as you're open and honest throughout the process, I feel like that they flow so much smoother, because everybody's able to accept things that are different than what was originally planned, as long as they can understand why these changes were made.
So tell me about the process. Did you find any challenges when you opened up the walls? You said there was potential for that. And this is an older home, right?
Yes, it was built in 91.
Okay.
So,
Not too old then.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did. We had some plumbing issues. We had plumbing that was in the way that we didn't think was going to be in the way, and we had some electrical, I think, that was in the way, and some security. A ton more security, I think, than what we thought we had here was in the way and had to all be rerouted. But we worked through all of that once we got it all exposed.
And were you the only one who was kind of envisioning the design, or did you have kind of an assistant in that department?
Matthew and I, my husband, we knew exactly what we wanted to happen. We didn't know if what we wanted to happen could happen. And once I called Tommy, and he put me in touch with the designer for us to call and actually get a plan on paper about how it could happen, and what type of windows and that we needed. We felt, of course, much better about it. It's very overwhelming when you walk into something like this and not knowing who to go to. And he always had the person to call, and they always had the answers, and it really helped us make our decisions a lot easier, especially when we got to picking out the different, the granite and the different aspects of it, it can be overwhelming. So he never made it overwhelming when it came to that point. So that was nice.
So you have, Priester's Custom Contracting has a bunch of connections in the area, I'd imagine. You've been in business for a while, so if anyone has a question or needs a resource, I assume you have that available.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
How long have you been in the Low Country?
I've been in the Low Country my whole life. We've been in the building industry since '88, and we've been doing custom remodeling and custom home building for the last 10 years.
Do you specialize in one versus the other, remodeling or new construction?
No, it's probably about 50-50, and the economy kind of dictates that as well. We've seen a die-off in new construction, and then we see that coming back, and it's always been kind of a 50-50 deal.
Well, do you have anything else to say about the project that you felt is important to share with viewers?
I think that if I had anything to tell the viewers, it would just be basically to do your research. Charleston is a small, tight-knit community, and when picking somebody to do a remodel, I would say that call their references. Call their vendors, because the vendors and the references, they'll tell you volumes of what you want to know, probably more than what you want to know about a particular builder. And I think that if they're not willing to open that door up, then there's usually a reason for it. So we have an open door policy, and I think that's the best way to operate.
And do you have any tips for homeowners who are wanting to do a small, medium remodel like yourself?
do research, get as much information as you can. I think, the more information you have up front, the better decisions you can make, and follow your gut. And we knew when we met Tommy, we knew that he was going to be the right guy for the job. So,
Well, can you ask your kids if they like the new remodel?
hey guys, did you like the new house?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you have to say, Dawson?
Now you're quiet.
That's usually how it works.
You like the cabinets? Okay, well, for people who want a remodel like this or even new construction, what's your website address and phone number?
My website address is Priester Custom Contracting, and my phone number is 200-8495.
Okay, great. And when you call that number, will you get your wife, Shelley, I'd imagine?
No, when you call that number, it'll be directly linked to me. Shelley's number is 200-8496, if you want to go to the brains of the outfit.
Yes, she definitely is. All right, well, thank you so much for speaking with me today. Your home is lovely. Hi, I'm Christy Conway with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and I'm here in this amazing home in Mount Pleasant with Jeff Pritchard of Trellis Residential and Jill Mahoney of Mouser Tile. Jill, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. What about you?
Doing great as well.
Great. Well, this project's pretty special because this is actually your first home that you've built for your company. Is that correct?
Yes, this is our first project, and we're happy with the way it turned out.
And someone signed on the line, right?
Absolutely.
Well, congratulations. Tell me how you've kind of taken advantage of Mouser Tile's wide selection of tile.
Well, we've used them on several projects in the past, and they've done an outstanding job, so we use them exclusively for this home, and the options are great. Our homeowners were pleased, and we just can't thank them enough.
Great. Well, what exactly did you use in this home? What was chosen?
We used a variety of material. We used some porcelain tiles, some glass tile, quartzite, and stone, and
Marble,
just
right?
and marble as well. Okay. And it just all blended together just beautifully.
What I find is interesting is that you didn't actually use tile for the backsplash of the kitchen. So often people think of tile, they only think of a backsplash. But you actually were able to take advantage of Mouser's selection in, what, four bathrooms? Is that right?
Yep, 4.5.
And then what else did you use their tile for?
Well, we use it for the fireplace here and the laundry room, and that's about it. All the
and some
showers.
flooring and all that.
Yep.
What would you say your favorite room in the house is?
Master bathroom, just because the way we put it together, it really turned out kind of spa-like.
Definitely with that wall of, what kind of tile is that?
That is a split-face quartzite.
Okay. It looks almost like a limestone or something like that. It's a natural stone, is that right?
It is. It is. It's a like a ledger stone.
Okay. And by ledger, you mean that because it pops out, correct? Okay. Is that a popular kind of style now?
It is. It is.
I've noticed it more and more, at least. Maybe because it's a coastal area or something. You got that natural stone. Okay. And what about the guest bathroom with the tiny little tiles on the floor? I think that's my favorite room. Can you tell me about that?
That is a quartzite mini brick. It is multicolored.
And when you say quartzite, you actually said that was in the master as well, right?
That is correct. It's actually the same stone, just cut in a different way.
Okay, so if someone were to want just the tiny little brick versus kind of the more masculine pop coming off the wall, you can do that too.
Absolutely.
Are there any other shapes that you might be able to get the quartzite in?
Many different shapes. And then on the shower floor in the master bathroom, actually. Different shapes and different textures.
So it's the house for quartzite, I guess. Okay, and what about the bathroom downstairs? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure, the downstairs bathroom, we actually chose the cabinetry first. We wanted a real dark espresso feel to kind of offset the white floors that we were putting in the house.
Right.
So Jill came up with a great 12 by 24 tile to use on the wall that's really chocolatey. It's got some texture to it, really goes well with the espresso cabinet, and that all started from there and went on.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a kind of good partnership between you two. You kind of came to her with a problem or a challenge, and she stepped up. I found that tile actually looks a lot like wood. I mean, that's the intent, right?
It is the intent. My favorite part of that is just the drama of the, the dark color and the contrast with the border and everything.
And you said that was porcelain.
It is porcelain. Okay.
Okay, so the tile shape is what, 12 by 24, is that right?
That is correct.
And what's the reasoning for choosing that? I've heard less grout, but is there any other reason?
Well, Jeff wanted more of a modern feel to this house, so most of the tiles are elongated.
Okay. What other kind of modern touches would you say the reasons why you chose certain tile?
Well, we wanted the house to be more transitional and kind of bridge the gap between modern Charleston and old school Charleston. So that we did a lot of little things, the coastal shiplap, and then a lot of the white floors, and then the simple trims and the mahogany doors. It just kind of all works really well together.
And yet the tile is almost like a pop of contemporary. You've got the glass or mirrored tile, right? That was pretty neat.
That was the homeowner's choice for that bathroom. There's no window in that bathroom, so it really kind of brightens it up and makes it look a little larger.
Okay. Well, if someone wants to learn more about the tile that you sell, do you have a website people can go to?
Absolutely. melsertile.com.
Okay. And a phone number?
843-744-5345.
Do you suggest people give you a call to set up an appointment, or should they stop by? What's the situation?
Appointments are not necessary, but they are suggested, especially if there's a large project involved.
If you want to speak with Jill, you got to set up an appointment. She's a busy lady. Okay, and what about you? Do you have a phone number or any contact information people can give you a call?
Sure. If anyone wants to reach us, it's 843-297-3932.
Okay, well, we've been speaking with Jeff and Jill of Melser Tile. Thank you so much for meeting with me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Conway with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and I'm here in Kiowa with Scott Koenig of Koenig Construction and Dean Polk of Energy One America. How you doing, guys?
Doing great, thanks.
Good.
So, it's a beautiful day, and we're not inside, but we sort of are here. We're looking at the bones of this house on a warm summer day. Can you tell me why we're here, what you guys did in this project?
Certainly, yeah. We handle all of Scott Koenig's thermal envelope protection as well as his mold protection. And what we're kind of showcasing here today is our product called Forticell, which is a product that gives a 25-year warranty against any mold or microbial growth taking place on any of the wood surfaces that we treat.
And why do you think this is important when building a home?
Well, there's a lot of
Besides the obvious.
Yeah, well, nobody wants mold.
Right.
But you basically are trying to keep water from getting where water's not supposed to be, and there's best practices involved with that, flashing details and sealants and things. But in the end, there are things that are out of a builder's control, leaking appliances and all sorts of stuff that we're not able to provide our client with an assurance that water won't get where it's not supposed to go. So that's why Forticell becomes an attractive product for us to offer our clients, because it just gives a guarantee that at least the mold's not going to grow on the wood itself should there ever be water where water's not supposed to be.
Okay. And for the people that don't understand, why is mold so bad for a home?
Well, mold in essence is probably in every home in Charleston somewhere behind your walls. It's just that there's been a lot of legal issues with mold. Very litigious subject where, because there's obvious health reasons, some people are more sensitive to mold, the spores and the like, and are allergic to that. So from a builder's perspective, one way we can protect ourselves, again, litigiously or legally, is to have a product like Forticell, protecting our wood.
And would you say that Forticell is unique to Energy One America? Are you the only ones doing this?
Well, we're very fortunate in that avenue, in this market at least. Energy One America has proprietary rights to Forticell. The great thing about Forticell compared to any other of the mold products that are on the market is Forticell is the only product nationally that has a warranty that survives any kind of moisture intrusion. If you look at any other product on the market, most of them are a mold inhibitor, if you will.
Oh, okay.
And what they will state in their warranties is that if there is moisture intrusion, or if the surface that has been treated gets wet, it nullifies the warranty. Well, the whole point of having a mold protection is so that when it gets wet, you've got protection. That's what Forticell does. It gives a 25-year ironclad warranty that if there's any moisture intrusion into the house once it's completed, whether it be from a burst pipe or a leaky appliance, or God forbid we have a flood. There will not be any mold growth on anything that we have treated. For 25 years, it's fully transferable from one house or from one owner to the next owner. And it's really pennies to the square foot to get that kind of coverage. And as Scott and I were talking earlier today, there is no company, no insurance company in the nation any longer that gives any kind of warranty or any kind of insurance policy against mold prevention. So why not just kind of build it into the structure as
It's
you're
like your
building
own
it?
insurance policy.
Exactly.
basically. And how does it affect insurance? Does it bring down the cost at all?
You know, that's a really good question. I would hope that it would. I think where it does is it brings down the homeowner's anxiety for the potential of mold growth. One of the great things about Forticell and the way it works is it works at a microscopic level. So when we treat the wood, we're actually treating the surface of the wood, we're coating it at a microscopic level, but we're not encapsulating that wood. So if a flood event were to take place, if there was moisture intrusion, the wood can get wet and it can breathe to get dry. So we're not going to capture that water into the wood. So it gives a lot of peace of mind for what it does.
Now I'm seeing that these parts of the wood that you're talking about are pink.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about why that is?
Sure. Actually, the pink is really just a dye that we put into the Forticell. That's there so our applicators can see what they have and have not sprayed. You'll notice some of it's a little darker in areas and some of it's a little lighter. The longer it sits, the UV will break down the dye, but not the Forticell product itself. It's just there kind of as a marker so we can see what we've done and what we haven't done, so we make sure that we've hit all the areas.
And how many times would you say that you've kind of had Energy One involved in your projects here on Kiowa or anywhere?
We've been building here since '85, and we've probably done 150 homes in the area. I'd say we've been working with Dean and his company for probably about the last maybe 7 or 8 years, about 25 homes maybe, something like that.
And I assume you've gotten great results.
Yeah, well, you know,
You wouldn't
no
be here
mold
otherwise,
issues,
yeah.
so that's good.
Good.
But yeah, we really trust the product, and I think, as he said, the real thing to us is that it gives our owners peace of mind, because we can put as many best practices into place. We can design the air conditioning system to be well balanced, which is another important thing. We can make it a healthy home and give them a healthy home, but then to be able to have them rest assured and sleep well at night that if water does get where it's supposed to be, they don't have to panic. That's good.
And actually, you had Energy One America also do another service for you guys in this home. Can you explain what that is?
The foam installation, right? They insulate our walls with both closed cell and open cell foam, depending on the application, and we do that on every home. Of course, that's part of the whole envelope design, so that changes from house to house. Forticell is pretty much we need that to apply that in every home. The foam design changes with each one.
And can you talk about the design for this particular home for the foam?
Sure. I believe we've already done the roof line here with closed cell foam. And Scott, are we doing closed or open cell in the walls? You have to open cell in the walls on this application. It hasn't happened yet. That'll come in after all the plumbing and electrical is in. So all our mechanical inspections have to be completed before we do that. And then, of course, in the subfloor, we'll use closed cell foam as well. Closed cell foam is something we always want to use when we have an outdoor application because it's a 100% moisture barrier. We're not going to keep that moisture drive, again, away from the home as much as possible. So that's where we use it in that application.
So that's kind of your bottom line, is prevent moisture, right? I mean, that's all your products, that's all they have to do with, right?
When building homes, moisture bad.
Yeah.
Except in the swimming pool, moisture good. But here in South Carolina, especially in this climate and our environment, hot, humid air, it's a breeding ground for mold. So anything you can do to help prevent that, it's a plus and a win-win.
And what other products and services does Energy One America provide?
Sure. Energy One America really has 4 different services that we offer. Obviously, the spray foam insulation, both open and closed cell. We have our mold prevention product, which is the Forticell we're talking about here today. In crawl space encapsulation scenarios, we do crawl space enclosures with where we insulate the foundation wall, put in an AquaShield liner and a dehumidifier. Great way to protect the home from the environment, again, keeping the moisture out. And then we have a 4th product, which is called polyurea, which is a really phenomenal product for waterproofing decks. You can use it as a finished walkout product. It's a spray applied, dries in about 2 minutes, so there's no seams. You can drag metal patio furniture across it. You're not going to damage it or hurt it. It's a great product. So we're getting a lot of good feedback on that.
And one thing we hadn't kind of discussed, but it seems obvious because your name is Energy One America. I mean, most of your products, actually, I would assume, reduce an energy bill. Am I right?
100%. Yes, that's the reason why you're going to call us, is because we're going to help reduce that cost month after month of that energy bill. We're going to help keep it down. And in retrofit homes, we can help slash your energy costs anywhere from 40 to 50% in some cases.
Well, now if people want to learn more about your project and products, what website shall they go to?
Absolutely. It's real easy. www.energyoneamerica.com.
And phone number?
Area code 843-957-8130.
And Scott, what about you for Koenig Construction? What's your website?
Our website is www.koenigconstruction.com.
Okay. And your phone number?
It is 843-768-0842. I knew mine at least. And we also take care of homes after we build them for our clients. And that company is called At Your Service.
Okay.
And it would be www.at@yourservicekkr.com.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me, and it's been a nice, informative meeting. So thank you so much. And you've been speaking with Christy Conway with Charleston Home and Design Magazine. Hi, I'm Christy Conway with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and I'm here today in this very cool Mount Pleasant home with Freddie Giovelli of Port City Glass and Mirror, and of course, we've got the homeowner Blake Comer of Comer Construction. How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Okay, so this is your home, but you're also obviously a builder.
Yes.
So this is pretty important to you then, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
So you choose people for this home that you've trusted in the past with other projects, I'd imagine.
Yes, I have. I mean, I've worked with, several contractors, subcontractors throughout the years and stuff, and knowing that this was going to be my personal home, a lot of times in the past it's been whether the homeowner is solely on a budget standpoint, and we've had to go with just budget bids and other subcontractors. Mine, although I was still on the budget, it was more about trust and the relationships of the companies that I wanted to use.
And so for your shower doors and mirrors and some of your shelving, you chose Port City Glass and Mirror.
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever.
And can you explain to people watching the video why you chose them?
Yeah, Port City is. I've been involved with Port City for, I guess, the 10 years, almost 10 years that I've been in Charleston now from Greenville, and I've also used other glass companies as well. And Port City has always kind of won me over because one of their competitive pricing, but also because of the relationships that they build. They do what they say they're going to do. They don't kind of jerk you around a little bit, and that relationship is very, very important in the building world. There's so many time-sensitive steps in the whole process, and Port City always follows through with what they say they're going to do, when they say they're going to do it, or if there's a glitch in the system, then the relationship and personal involvement is that they let you know what's going on, and which is just, again, as I said, just very important in our business. And due to the fact that this was my house, I wanted that. I didn't want to feel like that I needed to, have to necessarily babysit people over here on the job. And again, with most of the subcontractors that I use, it was those subcontractors that I felt comfortable with and trusted that they were going to come over here and not cut corners or not, kind of pull me or, jerk, jerk me around or anything like that. And that's why I've always used Port City. And again, with this being my personal home, there was a personal commitment to it that Port City Glass kind of always reflects in the jobs that they do. They're personally involved in it.
And you've worked with Freddie numerous
I have.
times.
Whatever. Freddie's always been great to work with. He usually comes out on the jobs and is involved in the measuring, and on the front end will come out and give me an estimate, up front. That's, that's of course just like any other estimate. It's not guaranteed, but he comes out and gives me a very competitive price, and it helps me a lot of times, and the homeowner, think things through. A lot of times homeowners, and when they're renovating and stuff, aren't really sure what they want. They know, hey, I want a shower door. Hey, I want you to build me a house. I want trim around the windows. Well, they don't know what kind. And so again, Freddie is very knowledgeable and with everything, and coming out there and sitting down with a homeowner, as well as he did with me and my wife, and said, you know, what exactly do you want? What are you looking for in the bathroom or the kitchen to tie this in with? Do you want the, you know, the brushed nickel, the brass, and which way the door swings, and the heavier glass? And so it's just not about selling the product. There are a lot of people that, again, just want to sell. Hey, I'm ready to take your order. And theirs is more of, have you thought about this? Think about this. You know, I'm not selling you necessarily the high-end stuff, but I'm selling you what I'm hearing you say that you want.
What you want and need, yeah.
And so Freddie's been great on that.
Okay, cool. Now, Freddie, can you explain exactly what you provided Blake here in the home?
Well, we did his mirrors. That was the simple part. We also did the heavy shower doors in 3 of the bathrooms, right?
Okay.
The master bath, and then 2 of the kids' baths. And we just did the 3/8 frameless shower with brushed nickel finish. You know,
So-
they're just custom made to fit his openings that he's provided to us.
To explain to people that might not kind of fully understand, frameless, you mean not the traditional on-the-track type of
Yeah,
shower
basically
door?
frameless. Some people call it seamless. It does have seams. That's a misnomer there, but it's basically it's heavy glass. Which when you don't use heavy glass, you need framing to help support it. Otherwise, you know, it would be unsafe. So when you use heavy glass, you in turn need less support. Like we just use these little 2-inch by 2-inch brackets to hold the fixed panels in, and fixed panels of course means not the door. And then on the door itself, it's usually just a handle and 2 hinges. It's pretty simple, it's clean, it's very functional, it's durable.
Yeah, what I like about it is that it is clean. I mean,
Yeah.
I have the other kind of variation of a glass door, and I'll tell you, those cracks are like magnets for dirt.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting
Exactly.
mold and
Because half the time you can't really get to
Right.
it, and then you see when it's really nasty. So yeah, that's the great thing about these things is they look clean, and then they're fairly easy to clean. I say it that way because you kind of have to get yourself to squeegee it occasionally. If you don't do that, there are products that can be added to the surface of the glass that makes it easier to clean. Enduro Shield is one of them. It's a molecularly bonded protectant that you put on the glass, and it helps it keep it cleaner longer. It'll sheet like soap scum and stuff like that off the doors. You don't always need that. I normally push it more on some of the outer islands that have well water or bad water or a history of water stains on their other glass. So it's not something that I try to push on every single job that I do, but I try to just do it when I see it necessary. But anyway, it's a beauty. I love them. I mean, I'm a big fan, not only because I sell them, because I think they're visually, really really nice to look at, and a lot of times they're a great accent on a, like this house here that's pretty, a lot of traditional but yet modern things in it too. It kind of, just spruces
Sleeker,
it up some.
yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm a big fan.
Now, for remodeling, you mentioned actually before we started the video a little bit about how sometimes people come across a shower area that isn't square. And so obviously they would need custom glass from a company like Port City Glass. Can you talk a little bit about what Port City Glass does in those scenarios?
Yeah, a lot of times, depending on the type of remodel it is, if we go in there, and I've seen instances where if it's a complete bathroom gutting where we're tearing out everything, and the homeowner's like, my shower door's coming off and this and that, I mean, we'll go in there, and I as a builder, of course, know, but when you get Freddie and them in there, they make sure that the appropriate framing is in the wall. A lot of times shower doors are pulling off the wall because there's no structural member back behind the hinge is just a piece of sheetrock, and they've got a couple anchors in there holding it. And eventually, you get kids running in and out of the shower, and that door, just when you open it enough, it's going to come off. But a lot of times too, if you're not messing with the walls and it's not a complete gut, you're going to find it in here, that the wall's leaning and the wall's not perfectly square and stuff. And especially if you get into some of the custom cuts that we did here in mine that are still we're in mini shower, is that Port City, instead of just cutting a square piece of glass to go in there, and then when they come back and they silicone that crack that's against the wall, that you don't have a big fat thick bead of silicone at the top, and down here we walk in, if you're a kind of a perfectionist or have the eye for those type of things, it just jumps out at you. But so Port City comes in there, and truly, like Freddie had said, it's a custom shower to where if you're 47 inches down here at the bottom and 47 3/8 up at the top, I mean, it's cut to that, to where your eye doesn't see it when it's off like that, because your eye is drawn to where the two planes meet, that being the wall and the glass, and you see that there's just this nice thing. And I've been on the flip side of it before, back in Greenville before I moved down here, of somebody who comes in there, and it's much easier for a glass cutting company to come in there and say 47 inches, go in there and cut it, and then take a big tube of silicone and whatever, make a big mess, and it just doesn't look good. So it's more time, but again, that's what, as Freddie said, Port City's into the custom glass. And so again, it's just them taking that extra step of that personal level of like, I want it to be like what I would want it in my home. So.
Okay. I do want to touch on the safety of the glass. I'd imagine that some people kind of worry that without a frame that, it could break and it could hurt their children or whatever. Can you explain why that might not be the case?
Well, the glass that's used on any shower, actually, it's a building code that from probably in the 70s, I guess it was, when they changed the building codes to where you had to have safety glass in your bathrooms, your showers, and all. So even the framed shower doors have safety glass, but that glass is usually only 3/16. So the type of glass we use on our heavy shower doors is 3/8 to 1/2 inch, which 3/8 is twice as thick as the 3/16. So since it's thicker and heavier, it is harder to break. And it is safety glass. When it breaks, if it breaks, it will break into a million little pieces, little
like a windshield, sort of?
No, more like a door glass on a car. Windshields stay intact.
Okay.
But the side glasses on a car, when they break, like someone ever breaks in, it breaks in a million pieces and it's gone. So the shower glass is the same way. If it breaks, it'll break in, and just there'll be a glass on the ground if that did happen. But it is safety glass. It's been tempered, which means they run it through an oven, and it changes the molecular structure of the glass and makes it to where it breaks into small pieces instead of shards of glass, which could potentially be like a guillotine and cut something off. I mean, it's true. It's something that I've seen in my experience in the glass business. I've seen people get cut really bad from mirrors or regular glass. But
how long have you been in the business?
Actually, I've been in the business for 27 years.
So you know what you're talking about then.
I think I know what I'm talking about. It sounds like I know what I'm talking about at least. But so it is safety glass. You do have to be careful. You can't bang it into a toilet or anything like that. But that's what what he was talking about earlier about the design of it. I try not to design one that has any chance of hitting a toilet or a countertop. There's times where I have a homeowner who's insisting on it swinging a certain way, and I just do my part and just explain that you're creating a potential problem here, and I forewarn them about that and just tell them to be as careful as they can and all that. But once if someone is that set on doing something a certain way that I don't think is right, and they want to do it anyway, I just make sure I warn them of the problems and
Yeah, but
hope for the
ultimately,
best.
the client, gets what they want.
Yeah, exactly. That's the bottom line. Is we try to do what people want. Occasionally, I'll step in and say, you're insane. This is a crazy idea. You need to, rethink this.
Yeah.
But usually, I try to do what people want. I mean, because ultimately, they're the ones living in the house, and they're the ones that have to use it every day. And I don't. So it's really up to them on what they decide to do there. But
Okay. Well, speaking of your clients, do you have a website, a phone number that people can call to learn more?
yes,
Would they talk to
we
you?
have a. Well, I'm usually out on the road,
Okay.
so I do have.
You're a very busy man.
I try to be. I have Daphne in the office that does a great job for me. Over the years, I've had plenty of assistants, and I do rely on her heavily because she does a great job. So, thank you, Daphne. But yeah, we have a website. It's Port City Glass.
Okay. Okay.
And it's actually just recently been updated and all. And then, so we have some pictures. We also do commercial work. So, we have our residential side and our commercial side. We do actually do retail business. So if someone needs a piece of glass cut, they can come by and have a glass cut, whether it's for a broken window pane or a tabletop or a mirror replacement, something like that.
Yeah.
Usually a lot of like movers, they come by because when they've moved somebody's furniture, they've broken something, and you just come by and get the glass fixed. But our phone number is 577-6500, and there's Daphne's at extension 207, and she's the one who answers the phone anyway.
Okay.
So
Great. And what about for Comer Construction? How can people get on?
I don't have a website.
Okay.
I've got my email address is comerconstruction@yahoo.com, and then my cell phone number is 864-787-4555, and which is a Greenville area code. And again, I've been down there for almost 10 years and kept saying that I was going to switch it over.
I still have my California phone number.
Yeah, and it doesn't faze people. So,
Yeah.
and again, I don't have a big website and stuff because I'm a smaller builder, a local, and most of my stuff is just word of mouth. And I stay plenty busy, knock on wood, and I love it. We do small jobs, small renovations, as well as build a big house.
Obviously,
So-
just walking through your home, I can tell that you're talented. So, well, thank you so much for meeting with me. It was a pleasure.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we've been speaking with Freddie and Blake of Port City Glass and Comer Construction, and you've been watching us for Charleston Home and Design Magazine. Hi, I'm Christy Conway with Charleston Home and Design Magazine, and I'm here in this fantastic Rutledge Avenue home downtown with homeowner Mary Lardy, and we've got Nancy here, McCrae from Advanced Window Fashions. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Good.
Happy to have you. Great.
Yeah, it's great to be here. This home, we don't get to see many downtown homes, unfortunately, but this home is truly fantastic because it kind of combines the historical aspect and also it has a modern twist. Can you talk to me a little bit about your inspiration?
Well, we're right off of renovations. You're here. We just finished about a week ago, and everybody finished on time, so we're really happy about that. But the essence of what we wanted to do, having lived in a lot of different places, was to take everything we've learned from homes. And the one we moved from Venice, California, and everything is contemporary, clean, modern. So we wanted to keep the historical essence of the shell. Then inside, contemporary is about clean, and there's items in the room that accent, and there's energy to it. So we took that as you toured through the home to keep it very today, but yet you're in the shell of history. And everybody just gets so excited when you start telling them how old the home is, and you look at how we've modernized it. So it's a great mix of old in every room.
And how do the window treatments kind of play a role in that?
When we moved first in the house, Nancy came over and we had maybe 5 window coverings. I'm probably exaggerating, on the entire house. And we went through every room and discussed, what do we want the sunlight to be? How does the sun comes in? What's the feel of this room going to be? Do we want it formal? Do we want it to be classic or contemporary? So we really had a discussion in every room, how often it was going to be used, who was going to be in that room, And then having done so many homes before, Nancy and I just probably moved quicker than most do because I probably had almost every kind of window treatment you can have. And Nancy was great to work with because we could just, you can see the elegance that we brought to each room by picking it. And we kind of had a blank slate. And as we took you through, I can't believe I wouldn't, even with a complete renovation of the house, I wouldn't change a window fixturing.
It's fantastic. What kind of window treatments are they, just so I know?
Well, the majority of it is the silhouette,
Okay.
which is what we have here
Behind us, okay.
in this room, and it's throughout the downstairs, which gives the elegance, but also the light control, your privacy. You can have it all the way up. It's just a nice, clean. It goes with that clean line look with the contemporary too, and also fits in with traditional. Also with the home.
Okay.
And the one thing we wanted to do with the windows was that it wasn't overwhelming the room. You can walk into some homes, a little more classic home where you've got heavy drapery, or everyone's looking at the windows. Windows to me should be rich and luxe, but understated. Because the energy should be around your artwork, it might be a unique piece of furniture, it might be a color. So the window fixturings, you want them to be rich, and that's hence the silhouettes, which I think is a great choice to have that sheer and still the panel and everything Nancy said, but yet it's still understated.
Right, because in Meredith's home, it's the windows are not your focal point. So we're not taking away from her artwork or the furniture or the lighting fixtures, you know, that she's added here. So it's not taking away, you know, from the rooms.
And it's letting in so much light. And I know that you had discussed that when we first walked in, how much you wanted brightness in every room, right?
When we bought the house, it was very dark. The colors were not our style. And I'm an energy person. I like when you walk in and everybody smiles, the light's coming in. And yet I still want the privacy. We're in downtown Charleston. I think everybody knows we're in close quarters.
Right.
So this allowed us to feel that natural sunlight coming in, but yet we could come and get a cup of coffee and everybody doesn't know it's coffee time in the neighborhood, which is a real plus for us.
And what about upstairs? What kind of treatments did you
Well,
both choose up there?
The front of the house, there was the heat and the sun issue there, so we did do the Duet, the Arcatella, which has the inner sail to give the energy efficiency, but also definitely to cut down on the heat, you know, in those rooms. And we did the room darkening, which helps also, and then when guests are here, they have the room darkening, but yet I don't know, that feeling in the room too, being, you know, in there with the duets. Then we also did the vignettes, which is another, you know, shade that we did in the back of the house for it's your Roman, you know, look that goes with the nice clean lines, you know, with the furniture, because the hobble Roman is just, it was a crisp.
It almost looks like a, this is going to sound so odd, like a beautiful white comforter kind of hanging.
And actually, if you look at our comforter, to your point, that's exactly what it is.
It's almost like silky or something.
And what we also wanted to do was, the house can get really busy, so the whole lower level is contiguous of the same style, and then the guests are the same, the bathroom are the same, and then we kept the upstairs ensuite of our closet, bedroom, bathroom, all the same. So you create, like you said, that same subtle softness from room to room, and it isn't like every room's throwing something at you. And we want it to be light and bright and calm, and you can, by infusing too many different styles and materials and that, you're like, it loses the elegance that we were looking for.
Yeah. So how did you approach the house together? How did your partnership kind of develop?
Well, as I said, when Nancy came in, she's still giggling, there was literally no window coverings, and the windows are, the home is from 1896, and the windows are in I would say varying condition. The good news is 100% of them work, but many of them are original. You can see the swell in the glass and the glaze and everything, and they're not very pretty. So, essentially we talked about what we did, which was what do we want to achieve by room? And then, looked at what we wanted to do. And then Nancy had all the samples and put things up and challenged each other on the color. And it was a challenge because what the palette of the house was and what the palette went to, I knew we were going to go from an off-white trim to a white. So, Nancy and I had to step out of what is today and what's tomorrow going to be, because I knew we were going to go white, and I don't like the off-white combination. I wanted windows to be white and crisp like we had. But when we were doing it, we had to step out of that into imagination of, no, where are we in October? Where are we going to be in May? So that's why I think us working together on where we were going, as I said, now that we've done a full extensive renovation, we don't want to change anything because we were thinking forward, which I don't think Nancy probably gets too many of those projects. It's usually like, what do we have today and what are we going to close? But we knew we weren't staying where we were, palette-wise.
Right.
Now, did you visit the house initially, or did you go to her showroom? How does that normally work?
Well, I came to the house in this, particular situation because it worked out because Meredith already had an idea. She's already had other window treatments. And just talking with her, even over the phone, I had an idea of what to bring and what would work.
Right.
I knew shutters was not even to bring up in this for the house for one, and I knew it would cut out the light, and we didn't want that. We wanted to keep the light and bring it in. So going with the silhouette was one of the ways of working with that.
Do you suggest other people in Mary's situation to approach you to come to their house or to come to the showroom? How do you suggest the best way?
Every situation's different with every customer. I've had customers where they just had one last week or about a month ago, they thought, oh, we don't need to come by the showroom, we know what we want. And when they were back in town, they came into the showroom Tuesday, and she was so glad to come in because she saw the difference in the heading. She's like, in the book, she's like, oh, I don't like that. But once she saw it in the display, she's like, I like that.
Okay.
So it helps in different situations to have them to come into the showroom and see displays and see how they work and how that cassette is, or even the colors. It helps. And then I still go out. I've done it where I go out, have them come into the showroom or come into the showroom and then go to their house. So it just depends.
And where's the Advanced Window Fashions showroom?
Well, we're located at 502 Mondo Park Boulevard, Unit 105 in Mount Pleasant, and it's right off of Long Point and 526.
Okay. And do you have a website people can kind of learn from afar?
We do. It's 843beautifulwindows.com.
Okay. And 843 being the area code, right?
Correct.
Okay. And what's your phone number?
It is 843-881-8858.
Great. All right. Do you have anything to add about working with Advanced Window Fashions?
No, Nancy was awesome. She followed through, and everything, these homes, as we were talking, they're not even. No measurement is easy, and Nancy, of I think our 35 plus windows, there was not one window that was mismeasured. Not one window treatment had to be returned. Everything was delivered on time. She was here constantly during the installation. One day one did fall out, and I sent her a picture. She came over, I don't know if it was in 2 hours or 3 hours, got back up on the ladder. So I've never even looked at what the guarantees are on them, because I know with Nancy there, she takes extensive pride in what she does. And if anything goes wrong or I have to replace something for whatever reason, I never feel that she's other than an email away, and she usually replies right away. So if anyone is looking for window treatments, I would highly recommend Nancy, because she's going to be there from the start to the finish. And as long as that window treatment's in your house, she's going to be there.
Well, if that isn't a testimonial, I don't know what it is.
And I will. I do my best to, be there.
Okay.
And texting works too.
Great. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me. This was actually illuminating. I didn't even know these existed. The ones upstairs were my favorite, I have to say. Well, we've been speaking with Nancy McCrae of Advanced Window Fashions in this Rutledge home downtown. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm talking about a home. Talking about me and you. The things we'll do. I said a home. I'm not talking about a one-night stand. I wanna be your man. I said a home.
You've been listening to Talking About a home show on the radio. Talking About a Home is brought to you by the publishers of Charleston Home and Design magazine and the organizers of the Charleston Home and Design Show and the Custom Home and Remodel Show. To make contact with any of the companies featured today, visit newhomecharleston.com, Charleston's online home show, and home to over 200 local home-related companies motivated to work with you.